Thanks for tuning in to Unclogged, a Zoom Drain podcast. We've got a special episode for you today, as we've invited our friend and fellow franchisee, Dennis the Apprentice, to dig deep on the humble beginnings of being an apprentice and how that translates into a successful career. You can find Dennis the Apprentice on Instagram and on his podcast, Behind the Windshield. So, let's run it.
So glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What are you all about? Tell us about Mechanical Hub and Eric Aune introduction.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So Mechanical Hub is a media company that I'm part of ownership with. I have a partner down in Chicago. I say down in Chicago because I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And up in Minneapolis, I am a plumbing and heating contractor. So I've been a plumber for way too long, longer than I'd like to admit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, depending on the age of the audience, I don't want them to know how old I am. Just kidding. I've been a plumber for over 23 or 24, somewhere around 23, 24 years.
Cool.
And went through a structured apprenticeship program. And after I dropped out of college, I think we're going to get into that today, right?
We are.
Yeah, so, Mechanical Hub is our media company. It was just something we wanted to do to start sharing early on before social media was really a big thing as far as the trades were concerned, a perspective from the contractor's point of view on tools and processes and things like that. And so we started that, and it just works really, really well with my plumbing heating company. So I go to my jobs with my customers, or I'm in their basements or in their office buildings or in their mechanical room, and I pull my phone out and I make a video quick, and then I share that on my Mechanical Hub channel. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for how many years? The social media part?
For about 10 years now. And so things have changed so much though in 10 years on social media. Now we have podcasts and we have YouTube channels and we have, Instagram and TikTok of all things. I'm a plumber on TikTok, and I never thought that was going to be a thing. A few years ago, if you would have said, you're going to be on TikTok and you're going to have all these followers, I'd say, you're nuts.
Yeah.
And it's super enjoyable.
Yeah.
And we have, hundreds of thousands of followers that just see the stuff that we put out there to promote being in the trades. And that's really the message we're trying to have underlying all the content we produce.
Making the trades cool again.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that, because actually my podcast is Make Trades Great Again if you want to subscribe. I'm always plugging that.
Please, that's half the reason we're doing it. Yeah, for sure. So that's your podcast. I saw the sign on the...
Yeah, so Make Trades Great Again is one of ours. So Mechanical Hub has two. The other one is NDY, or Not Dead Yet. Okay. It's a couple older guys in our crew that are talking with people all the time. It's fun.
Very cool.
And they talk to people all over the industry. So yeah, our Make Trades Great Again podcast is all about how we run our small plumbing and heating businesses.
Very cool. Well, so my angle, I'm trying to help guys that get into the trades.
Yep.
When you go to college, they tell you to take English 101, English 202. If you don't go to college, you get a job at a trade, it's like learn the school of hard knocks, right?
Yeah.
And my thing is, it doesn't have to be hard knocks. Why can't we put a little energy into it, take our apprenticeship a little bit seriously, more serious, and make the most of it, right? And
absolutely.
So how was your apprentice, how your apprenticeship? Do you remember doing things to get noticed or to accelerate in your apprenticeship?
Well, maybe you've noticed I'm kind of a type A kind of person. So,
yes.
So it just came natural for me to want to be the best at what I was doing at that time. So I was in an engineering, I was at the University of Minnesota. I was in the engineering school. I was a couple years in. I was going into debt. And it was at a point in time where I was just turning 19 years old, and I had no idea if engineering was going to be what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
Because I feel very strongly that at that age, most people at that age don't know what they want to do.
No idea.
And so I got into that apprenticeship program, and I can remember vividly doing things to try to get noticed, because ultimately, when you're the lowest guy on the totem pole, you often get the worst job or you thought less of, that kind of thing.
Right.
But so in Minnesota, we have a 4-year requirement to be an apprentice, and that you have to work X amount of hours, it has to be registered with the state, that kind of thing, to be a plumbing apprentice.
Yep.
It's different all over, but it's similar. And so I joined the union, and because they gave me a really good training program, and it was a company in my town, they happened to be a union contractor, so they said, well, if you want to work for us, you got to be in the union, and we'll send you to school. And I thought, oh no, school. I just quit school and I don't want to go back to school. And most people that enter the trades as an apprentice don't want to go to school,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
They're like, well, school wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I'm an adult now. I want a real job. But, let's be honest, to do the kind of valuable work that a plumber or HVAC contractor does, or electrician, or any skilled trades, there's a lot of training involved. And the best kind of training is the ones where it's structured and it's a program and it's an apprenticeship program.
Right.
Like, I don't have to tell you that. I mean, it's Dennis the Apprentice.
Yeah.
Why am I telling him that? I'm literally telling him how to do his job. That's so silly. It's so ridiculous. Well, anyway, so I entered the program. I went to a school through the local 15 in Minneapolis. It was called Dunwoody Institute, and it's a technical college, but it's like 100 million years old, something like that. It's a pretty respected institution. That's where they did their apprenticeship program, and I was so lucky to have really good teachers, instructors that are plumbers working out in the field every single day.
Right.
And a couple of them I actually worked for.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really awesome because they were my foreman on the job all day long, and then I'd be like,
we talked about that this morning.
Yeah,
right?
I had to go to their class that night and be like, I wanted to complain about the job I was on and the guy I worked for, but he was my instructor.
Right.
Like, it was never
Doesn't
really
work.
good. Yeah.
So how'd you stick out? What'd you do to stick out like a sore thumb in a good way?
I think you nailed it a minute ago. You said you got to make the best of your situation. You got to make the most of it. And so what I did is I said to myself, this isn't that hard. The school, the work that was demanded of you, got to memorize the code. You got to learn how to do water pipe sizing, things like that. It's not super difficult stuff. The important stuff in the classroom.
Yeah. It's not like structuring sentences and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, exactly. I wasn't. It's kind of like a foreign language, really, but it was something that I could easily grasp. And so I said, you know what? I'm not gonna miss any class. I'm never gonna miss a class unless something happens. And I didn't. Through the union's 5 years, by the way. So I did 5 years. I never missed a night of school.
Imagine that.
Well, and I can tell you with confidence that I was at the top of my apprenticeship class each year. They even gave out trophies at the end. I have 5 of them. So,
awesome.
So really, ultimately, and I'm proud of that because looking back on it, that's what made me different than everybody else was. I just did the work. I just showed up. That's really what you got to do.
Just show up.
Just show up. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Am I talking too much?
No, it's beautiful. Like we put on trainings and like 3 journeymen show up and 1 apprentice shows up, right? Isn't this crazy?
It is so many people here.
Yeah. So yeah, showing up is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it.
I think people can get ahead in this business, whether you're the owner, starting your own shop, or you're an apprentice, or you're a journeyman, or whatever it is you're in your trade, whatever rank that you're at.
Right.
I guarantee you get ahead in this business by showing up. You got to have,
Easy.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
There's a lot that goes into showing up. Like, right? Everybody's job is a little bit different, but showing up, clean clothes, look nice, feel good. Like, hey, I'm going to learn something today, or I'm going to accomplish something. That's showing up. It's not just physically being there, because I've had teenagers. I know what physically being there looks like. It's not what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. But showing up, you get ahead. That's how it's done.
Very
Honestly,
cool.
You break it down to that kind of level, in my opinion.
Yeah, perfect. So you've probably had a couple mentors in your life. Like to hear someone that meant a lot to you, and what it was that helped them be your mentor, that you appreciated what they did.
Well, he's not with us anymore, but there's a guy, his name is Kurt, and he was a foreman, one of my foremen when I worked in the apprenticeship program, or when I was an apprentice in Plumbers Local 15.
Right.
He has some health issues. He's not around anymore, too bad. But he ended his career working on the farm. Like, he retired. It was really cool for him, right? It was something he wanted to do. But when I worked for him, he didn't like me.
Oh.
Like, well, maybe he did a little bit. But I was mouthy. I was, like, too eager, like this guy. But I showed up. I did the job. But I always had, like, a lot of questions for him. Like, why are we doing it this way? Questioning him. Kind of ridiculous. I don't recommend that.
Right.
But I learned so much from him. And he never lost his temper with me. He was always just, like, I wasn't his favorite person.
Sure.
But he could count on me, and I could really count on him, because everything for a few years that I learned like, this guy was handing me that knowledge.
Right.
And he never complained about it. You know what I mean? I never really ultimately in the end got to tell him like how much it meant to me.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of an emotional guy. I've got to stop talking about that.
Yeah.
That's how much it meant to me, though. Like, this guy really just he saw to it that he was going to be valuable to somebody in one way or another.
I think once we've mastered a craft, we all have a desire to leave a legacy, to leave behind, and you're just desperately looking for someone that's actually interested in what you love, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like you found that in you.
I think he saw something.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, well, at least we'll make him a plumber. You know, like at the very least, we'll make sure he shows up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How do you know if you are working with a good apprentice or not? What are some signs? What does the apprentice do that shows you that he cares? And
Maybe
he's
impresses me the most, or you notice him. I you know, kind of going back, I don't want to overplay it, but that showing up. You know, like at the end of the day, we all have good days and bad days, but when you get a person who's really looking forward to quitting time, I kind of got to look at maybe how I'm interacting with this person. Am I not teaching them enough? And am I keeping them interested? Is there something more we can do? Do I need to give them more to do? That kind of thing. Maybe they're falling behind and thinking, this isn't really the thing I like to do.
So just watching the clock.
Watching the clock thing is probably the one thing that really bothers me the most and has me looking in a negative way towards somebody. Right. But I had, you know, we can point fingers, but every time you point one finger, there's 3 or 4 more pointing right back at you. Yeah. So like you got to look at maybe how you could change things.
Right. That's super smart, because one thing that in the trades, we get our license and then they give us an apprentice. Well, we never went to school to learn how to mentor.
Oh gosh.
Or teach.
No.
Right? And no one's talking about it. And so all of a sudden, because we know how to plumb, we're supposed to know how to teach, but no one told us anything.
No, and you know, you can only hope that by the time you've gotten your license and you're out there and you're then charged with teaching someone, you can only hope that you got a guy like Kurt, right, who taught me not to be, you know, hothead, not to get mad at other, you know, how to work with other people on the jobs and how to teach teach people with respect and respect them at the same time.
Right.
And so like, you got to hope that that's how you got brought up, because I've seen it a lot of different ways of teaching people, and I don't necessarily agree with it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's tough. You put in a tough position, and we're out there, and I mean, we signed up to be plumbers, not teachers necessarily. You know,
right.
I guess
right.
you could make that argument, and so some people are really good at it, and some just kind of get through.
Yeah,
you know?
I think we can do a better job as an industry teaching that piece of it, for sure.
Yeah, I think it starts with respect, and people, like, especially when they're learning, you can't expect them to know everything, and you have to treat them with respect. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Especially somebody that's, you know, they look at a lot of young people will look, well, I got to do the hard job all the time. Well, it's kind of, we all have to do the hard job.
Yeah.
And you know, we're not picking on you, but today it's your day to do the hard job.
I have a saying about digging. If you don't like to dig, get good at it.
Yeah.
Because you could take all day to dig the trench. But if you're done at 1 o'clock, the plumber will invite you into the house to do the big work. And they'll start saying, hey, we want this guy on the job. Get this guy out of the ditch.
No, you're right. That's
so if you don't like to dig, get good at it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, be good at really simple things like cleaning up. Or,
totally.
You know what I mean? Like being prepared.
Yeah.
Be good at stuff like that people love to have you around.
You know, one thing I want to mention is this social media thing's crazy. Yeah. I made that 1-minute video a couple years ago. The first person that liked it was John Thompson.
Yeah.
And I just did it every single day. And then I go to AHR for the first time. And it's like we all know each other and respect each other. And it's real friendships. It is the bizarrest thing.
It is bizarre. I mean, it's not bizarre to have real friendships, right? That's not what you mean. Yeah, it's just bizarre that there's people all over the country and all over the world. Like, I've actually visited job sites in Germany with a plumber friend of mine I met on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, right? Like, who does that? Crazy. But it was so fun, and it was heartfelt, like, honest. Like, I was thankful to have met this person, spent time with them. We're still friends to this day. And I hope to be forever.
Sure.
And yeah, we get to come to events like at the Wet Show here. We were just over at a booth. They had a meetup, and there was, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people just showed up. And were like, hey, I met. We never met, but we you know, we follow each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. One thing at my apprentices is that they're watching stuff on Instagram and TikTok on tips and how to do stuff and tricks and new tools, that kind of thing. And when we were at the AHR show, I had a couple texts there, and they were super impressed that I even knew of you.
Oh, yeah?
They watch you all the time.
No way.
Yeah, and they were so excited to know that you were going to come on today.
That's so cool.
So, and we've never really talked, but I go, who do you want me to meet or get a picture with? And they go, Eric Aune, I follow that guy. And I'm like, he's going to be on my podcast.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's neat how we can invite each other into our lives, and people are so willing to take that invitation.
Right.
Because it's genuine. We have a common bond, and you know, a lot of apprentices think different, you know, like they think, oh, don't talk to, you know, that guy's scary, he's the guy in charge. And like,
sure.
well, that's not really how this industry should operate, in my opinion,
No.
especially when it's regarding
No.
apprentices too. But yeah, it's cool. The social media things change everything. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I think we need to be aggressively, I say this all the time, be aggressively friendly. And so we're doing that in real life at our shops. Like a lot of shops are pretty intimidating, right? You show up brand new. So I always talk about being aggressively friendly, and then even doing that social media wise as well. Just be aggressively friendly and be engaging, and we can't be so scary. Like there's this, we're kind of attached, us plumbers are attached to being a little scary. We take a little identity in that a little bit. And it might be to our detriment, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right. I totally agree
It's
with
like
you.
these young people are just a little intimidated, and we want them. We're saying we're all the young people. They're walking around all over the place, but we have to be more attractive as an industry.
No, you're right. I think a lot of times people don't look, they look at this, well, this is the way we did it and it was tough, but we lived through it and here we are and you need to do that too. They kind of have that attitude when it comes to people entering the trades, and that's what keeps people away. You know, like this
100%.
kind of toxicity kind of attitude that it's, to be in a trade, you have to be tough. Well, I don't know. I mean, you can be a nice person too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to be a total jerk. You know?
Exactly, 100%. Well, very good, Eric. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. I want to shake your hand.
All right,
Thanks, man.
you got it.